Okay, today we're here in southwestern Oklahoma in the Wichita Mountains mountain range, and we've been checking this sundial daily to look for the equinox. We've had, fortunately, not unfortunately, but fortunately, we've had rain and cloudy weather for the last couple, 2 or 3 days, and we haven't been able to check it. The last time we checked, the line was right in here somewhere, right down around here. And we're seeing that, we're checking this daily, that this line, this east-west line, is moving up about a string's width per day. And we're here today on the 21st day of September 2015. And when this line, your line here that's running north and south, intersects with this line, we'll see when we have solar noon in this part of the country. And here again, we're on Central Standard Time. We're looking for this line to most probably move up and intersect this center line, this east-west line, on the 22nd day of September, which would show us what the equinox would be. Now, NASA says the equinox is on the 23rd day of September. Now, when these intersect, we'll know exactly when the equinox is. And let me read you some things out of the book of Enoch. And this is found in Enoch chapter 72. But if you'll look on our Enoch calendar, Enoch says the first month begins with 30 days, the second month has 30 days, and the third month has 31 days. The fourth month has 30 days, the fifth month has 30 days, and the sixth month has 31 days. Now we're going to read, based on this 31st day that we're talking about here, right before Yom Teruah. And it said, the sun rises from the fifth constellation and sets in the fifth constellation of the west, and rises in the fourth constellation for 31 mornings on account of the sign, and sets in the west. On that day, the night is equal with the day, 9 parts day and 9 parts night. So that means on the 31st day, which would be tomorrow, the 22nd day of September, would be exactly the 31st day on the Enoch calendar. That would be exactly 182 days from the beginning of the first of Aviv, and we're finding that this is beginning after the first Wednesday on the spring equinox, and we count exactly 182 days, and we count 1, and we will come to Yom Teruah. This is in the book of Enoch. So we're looking for these lines to intersect on this 31st day, which would be September the 22nd, which would mean that Yom Teruah would be on a Wednesday. We know that the first of the year begins on Wednesday, and the first day of the 7th month begins on Wednesday. Also, the first day of unleavened bread begins on Wednesday. The first day of Sukkot begins on Wednesday. You can find this in the Dead Sea Scrolls. You can find this in Jubilees. It's all over Jubilees, and certainly all over the Dead Sea Scrolls. And this lines up perfectly with the calendar, with the priestly order that tells us that the year begins on Wednesday according to the priestly order, and gives you the priests that are in service on each day, on each feast day throughout the year. And you can find this here again. If you'll really study the Dead Sea Scrolls, you'll find this is very accurate. And what we're trying to do here and look at is see if we have two witnesses that the priestly order lines up exactly with the solar calendar. Now let me read you some from Jubilees, chapter 6, and we'll start at verse 35. For I know, and from henceforth shall I declare it unto thee, and it is not for mine own devising, for the book lieth written before me, and on the heavenly tables the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles, after their error and after their ignorance. For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon. Now how it disturbeth the seasons, and cometh from year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason, the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order, and make an abominable day the day of testimony, and an unclean day a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months, and Sabbaths, and feasts, and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them. For after thy death thy children will disturb them, so they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new months and seasons and Sabbaths and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. This is written by Moses. He prophesied what we would do. And what we did, when we looked at this, we've got Yom Teruah circled on our calendar, and we did this based on the priestly order. It's September the 23rd on a Wednesday, 2015, before we ever set this up a year later. And we're finding that those that are making observations of the moon kept the feast of Yom Teruah on September the 14th of this year, which is exactly 10 days too soon, just as Moses prophesied, and will not make the year 364 days only. Now let's read in 1 Samuel chapter 5. And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new, in your translation it'll say new moon, but this should read new month. We don't have a new moon every month, we have a new month every month. And I should not fail to set with the king at meat, but let me go, that I may hide myself in the field until the third day at evening. Now on the 18th and 19th verse it says, Then Jonathan said to David, Tomorrow is the new month, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then thou shalt go down quickly, and come to the place where thou didst hide thyself, when the business was in hand, and shall remain by the stone of Zel. David knew before he ever observed a moon. Samuel knew before they ever observed the moon. Jonathan knew before they observed the moon of when the feast was on the first day of the 7th month. They didn't make an observation of the moon. They knew this beforehand, when that day would be. And this is the only way you can calculate this. This is not such a sophisticated piece of machinery that they could not put something similar to this together and determine when the new month was, when the equinox was. And we have some poles that we set up out here that we're studying and looking at shadows and different things to maybe kind of get an idea of how they knew this. But from what we set up, we do know that they knew when solar noon was. And when the morning sacrifice and the evening sacrifice was, based on some stakes or some marks that they could put in the ground and hold their staff up and determine when this time was. And you can't determine time at night because the moon does not bring forth a shadow. Now you can see this is moving closer and closer. On the east-west dial, it's moving closer and closer to solar noon, and we'll give you an indication here in a minute when solar noon is. And then we'll come out tomorrow and we'll look at this, which will be the 22nd day. And if these X's line up, then we know for sure that September the 23rd is Yom Teruah. Thank you and shalom. Okay, what we're going to look at now is how we set this sundial up and how you calibrate it. You can see that we have a north and a south pole, and we also have an east-west direction. We have strings running from east to west to north to south. And then, of course, when we hit our X in the middle, we'll know exactly when solar noon is, and we'll also know when this line moves up to this line, and this line here moves together, and we'll know when the equinox is. But if you'll look at this and you sight this in, if you sight this in with the North Star, the Polaris star, and it's just like sighting in the barrel of a rifle. You look down this end, and you look down this end, and you line it straight up with the North Star. Now, if you line it up based on magnetic north is going to be off about 3, maybe 4 degrees from true north. So if you line it up with magnetic north, this line is not going to be straight during the day. But if you line it up with true north, this line will be straight. And here again, what we're looking for is this line. We're checking this every day, except for the days when it's been raining and it's cloudy. But we have a sunshiny day today, and we're observing that this is moving about a string's width every day, and we're at the 21st day of September right now, and we're almost at solar noon. If you can see, this north-south shadow is about to intersect with the east-west shadow. And we've got a cell phone. And here again, we're in southwestern Oklahoma in the Wichita Mountains, mountain range, and we're on Central Standard Time, and we've been checking this too to see exactly when solar noon is. We're finding that solar noon is about an hour to 35 minutes to maybe an hour and 40 minutes later than what we're showing on our clock. And we'll let this move some more, and then we'll check this and see when solar noon is here in this part of the country. Okay, we can see now that both lines are intersecting, and here again, your lines are going to be straight if you line this up with polar north. If you line it up with any other way, it's not going to be straight, and it's right now 1:34 Central Standard Time. That would be solar noon on the 21st day of September here in southwest Oklahoma, where we're located now. Thank you. Shalom. Shalom. Again, we're here in southwestern Oklahoma, on the 22nd day of September 2015. And we're going to go over a few things that we talked about yesterday that may not be real clear. But to begin, let me read in the book of Jubilees, and this is Jubilees chapter 2, verse 8. We'll begin with verse 8. And on the fourth day he created the sun and the moon and the stars, and set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And God appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth, for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. Note that he created the sun to be a sign for all of these, for the festivals and the days and the Sabbaths and the Sabbath of years and the feast days. Now, when we talked yesterday about the Enoch calendar in Enoch chapter 72, those of you who are familiar with the Enoch calendar begins on the fourth day of creation, which is the fourth day that we see that God created the sun, moon, and the stars, and that's Aviv 1 on your calendar. Enoch says that the first month has 30 days, second month has 30 days, and the third month has 31 days. The fourth month, 30 days, the fifth month, 30 days, the sixth month, 31 days. The seventh month has 30 days, the eighth month has 30 days, and the ninth month has 31 days. The 10th month has 30 days, the 11th month has 30 days, and the 12th month has 31 days. Now, what we were speaking of yesterday was the 31st day of the sixth month, which would be here, and that's the day that Enoch said we will have equal days and equal nights. The equinox, the fall equinox, is what we're speaking of. Now, we marked our Gregorian calendar about a year ago before we set this up, and we did this on the priestly order. Now, the priestly order is precise with the Enoch calendar, and we've gone about this in a backward way in that we're counting. We based this on the priestly order, and now we're looking at the sun to make a determination on our days, 364 days. Now, we marked the 25th day of March 2015, and Yom Teruah, we marked that as September the 23rd, which will be tomorrow, which will be Yom Teruah, and that would count, your count would be 182 days, count one, and you'd have Yom Teruah. Now, yesterday I misspoke when I read 1 Samuel. That should read 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 5, and 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 18 and 19. Now we're going to look at this equinox, and we can see that it's almost where we talked about yesterday. You can see the east-west line. You can see the line running here along with this line. You can see the north-south line, and it's right at the point of intersecting. And here again, we're in the 22nd day of September 2015 in southwest Oklahoma. We gave you an indication yesterday of what solar noon was, when solar noon was, and I believe yesterday it was 1:34. And we're going to look at the clock today, and we're going to see what time it is today. And we can see that that is almost right on, with the east-west line intersecting and the north-south line intersecting for our equinox. And it's 1:34 again today. And of course, we can't calculate the seconds or give or take the seconds between the 1:34 of yesterday and the 1:34 today. Shalom.